I'm Freya Sampson, Deputy Editor of Supernal Magazine Australia. Coming to you today from Parliament House in Perth, Western Australia. We're here covering the Millions Rise Freedom Day event. We're also on Whadjuk Noongar Budja. So we'd like to take this moment to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people, the traditional custodians and original people of this land, of this country. And we'd also like to acknowledge the ancestors of the past, the present, and those emerging. Just behind Parliament House, up at Kings Park, we have the law grounds of the Whadjuk Noongar people. So this is very, very special land that we're on here today. We're coming towards this event from a space of heart consciousness. We're seeking to help to elevate humanity's heart awareness, as well as bring people back into their hearts so that we can hear what their issues are, but also how we can resolve them from a peaceful and powerful place within ourselves. So what concerns have brought you out to the Millions Rise Freedom Day event today?
Well, for me, it's the future of my children. I have two beautiful young daughters, and I want to see them grow up in a country where they can have free choice to choose how they live, how they dress, what medicines they put in their body, whether they go to school or not, just free choices. And so that concerns me greatly.
And what about you, Graham?
For me, it's also about the freedom of choice is something that's ingrained in all of us, and it's our right. What brought me here today is that what's happening globally at the moment is probably the most significant thing that's happened in tens of thousands of years. It's just huge. And I just don't think most people realise the consequences and repercussions of what's happening with the changes in policy, philosophy, and manipulation of information. And so for me, it was about making sure that I can sleep at night by saying at least I stood against what's happening here, what's happening in this global economy, global conspiracy towards information, control of information. It doesn't take much for us to seek the truth, but I guess we're not encouraged or educated to seek truth. We're often taught in our education system to reproduce what we perceive as the truth. And so what I've heard here today is a group of people that are prepared to seek the truth for themselves and willing to give voice to their truth. And it doesn't take a lot of common sense to see a lot of the flaws and the holes in the information that's being sprouted in mainstream media. So for me, it's making sure that I can put my foot forward and say, I walk my talk.
That's beautiful. That's powerful. Both points. So we're talking about free will. And so given the concerns that you have, how do you see that our national, local and global leaders, political leaders, could change their approach to the matters that are being raised here by yourselves, but also by others here today?
Well, first of all, to stop listening to the bureaucrats and to actually listen to the people who are electing you. You're public servants. What does that mean? It means that you serve the people who elect you. So listen to the people. Come back to the people. I actually believe that our politicians are governing out of fear. And I just want to put something in there. To govern, gover, means to rule or to control in Latin. And ment comes from mente, which is mind. So let's put it together. Government. I don't want the government, I don't want the people we elect to try to control our minds anymore. I want them to come out and to listen to the people that selected them. I want them to be with us, to be one of the people, because they are one of the people. And I want to say, come out, come and be with us, come and listen to us, and hear us. And that's the only way, I believe, that we are actually going to come back to a space of free will, freedom, and community, to commune together. So I'm inviting the politicians. I voted for you. We voted for you. We want you to commune with us. So come commune with us and leave the bureaucrats alone.
Again, very powerful. Graham, what would you like to add?
For me, it's remembering that the power we've given is to do with representational government. It's and the question is, who do they represent? The design is for it's the people like this, and its origins is in the minority to have a voice. So it was about how do we give voice to the people. So the question I ask the politicians now is, who are they representing? Did they get into politics with clean, genuine heart, wanting to represent the people that elected them? And what has become of that person? It's just the question that I would like to ask all of them. Who are they representing?
Thank you. That's wonderful. So, given that there are so many polarized points of view on the issues that are being raised, not by individuals here collectively, there's a lot in the media about all sorts of different things. Where do you see is the balance point, and how do we create a win-win for everyone out of this interesting challenge that we face at the moment?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of truths and there's a lot of lies. And again, I'll come back to the point of come to the people, listen to what the people want. I think forget about what other agendas are playing out here. But if the politicians can come to the people, then we can come back to ground truth. Because the people want what they want, and the people need what they need, and the people deserve what they deserve. So what is that? So for me, it's I know for my family and myself, I want safety. I want food. I want to educate my children. I want to feel that we have a say, that this country really values my freedom. Now that's my truth. So I would like to communicate that with the politicians and forget about everything else. So whatever else is playing out there is playing out there. I know all the different agendas that are being talked about, but I have an agenda, and there's so many other agendas here. There are so many millions of Australians, so there are all those agendas. Those are the agendas that matter. And so my question to the politician is, will you allow those agendas to matter? Will you allow those agendas, which are Australian collective agendas, to actually inspire you, inspirit you to respond effectively to the Australian population and community?
Thank you. Graham?
I think we need to be going back to one of the most primary statutes of being a human being is free will. So when that free will is coerced, manipulated, or eroded, it is a sin. It is one of the most basic principles of being a human, being eroded. And so I understand there's a responsibility to our free will. That doesn't mean that we can then impose our will on others, but do no harm. But unfortunately at the moment, the way that our will is being eroded is doing harm. And that's the question I put to the politicians is, are they doing no harm?
Excellent question. Thank you very much, both of you, for your heartfelt and present and well thought out, well felt out answers. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
how do we bridge the gap in consciousness? Because the kinds of topics that you're talking about are very, very difficult for people to come to. It triggers all sorts of emotions for them. So how do you have a way that helps people with that?
That's a good question. I'm actually still very emotional about the whole thing still from time to time, and I lose it and I get angry, but my wife keeps me in check all the time. She knows that peace and harmony is the way to freedom for everyone. I'm more of a warrior type, get out and fight no matter what to the death. So that's a good question, but I suppose it, in a nutshell, it's down to every individual, what's in their heart. Do they want the truth, or do they want to live a lie, the lie that's been presented to them by fake stream media and the politicians and their corrupt cops?
I understand. So to me, one of the most important things about humanity is their heart. You mentioned the heart. And there's a couple of key aspects to the heart or energies that go with it. One is forgiveness. How do we, given this is all true and comes out, how do we as a people, as a global people, forgive?
Okay, I absolutely believe in the power of forgiveness. Absolutely, 100%. It is such an immense power. But if people really knew what these people have done to children, now we're talking about not just child trafficking, but we're talking about organ harvesting, we're talking about adrenochrome harvesting, we're talking about rape, we're talking about murder, we're talking about pedivores. They eat children too. They drink their blood and they eat the meat. That's what they do. How can you forgive someone who is so demonically possessed, giving their power away to Satan? Because that's what they do. The Freemasons give their power away to Satan, Lucifer, same. And how can you forgive them? It's very hard. It'd be very difficult for me to forgive them. I couldn't. God can forgive them. God is the only one that can forgive them, I believe. I couldn't forgive them. And Donald Trump is not going to forgive them either, because Donald Trump, as you may know, has more than 500,000 executive international orders to smash all the corruption around the world, in particular the child trafficking. And he has already said, he's mentioned that child traffickers and pedophiles will be executed. So, I'm with Donald, big time. I think he's a great guy. I think he's an angel from heaven. He really truly is. Even though the media portray him as some buffoon, he is no buffoon.
Do you think that such energies can ever truly be eradicated from the world?
Absolutely, 100%. It's happening now. I've been waiting 22 years for this. 22 years.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your heart and coming out today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I wish you every success with your website.
Thank you very much, and success to you guys too. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Cam Tinley. It's C-A-M and the surname T-I-N-L-E-Y. We're a little bit hard to contact because all of my social media accounts have been shut down. I have no Twitter. Anybody who looks up my name on Twitter, that's not me. That's somebody who's taken over my account from Russia. Also, my Instagram is not me. Somebody in Russia has taken that account over as well.
And why is that?
They were preempting a takedown of my Facebook, would happen a couple of days after that. I had 5,000 Facebook friends on my personal account, and then I had 4 political Facebook accounts, because I've run for Parliament 4 times, and each time you have an account, a Facebook account. My personal account with 5,000 members was taken down, and then they sent me a message saying that I was in breach of their COVID-19 policies, Facebook said, even though I'd never had any problem with any single post that I'd ever put on about COVID-19, coronavirus, anything. It just got taken down. And then all of my political accounts, which had nothing to do with COVID-19, they all got taken down also. And then I thought it was a mistake. You couldn't contact anyone. Then when I tried to set up a new account, they said that their decision is irreversible and I could not get another Facebook account. And it really cramps your style, because Facebook's pretty much an integral part of campaigning and getting a message out. Most people are with Facebook, and I can't get that message out anymore. You can't get on the media, you can't demonstrate, you can't speak to people, you can't do anything. And so setting up a political party, I think, is the only way to go. I think it's the only way to go now.
Wow, that is intense. That is an intense experience that you're going through. So what is the name of your political party going to be, and how can people contact you?
Yeah, the name of my political party, the political party, is No Mandatory Vaccination. And I'll give you my contact number. It's my phone number is 0476 2018 44. And that's how people could contact me. The website for No Mandatory Vaccination should be up in about 10 days' time. And the reason we're calling it No Mandatory Vaccination is because the Parliament that we're in front of now, the Parliament House, passed the Public Health Act of 2016. The entire Act supplanted a Public Health Act of 1911, which is more than 100 years old, which was all about public health. The old Act was about public health. This new Act is not about public health at all. It's all about mandatory vaccinations and worse. if you can imagine, it could be worse. It's about injections as well, forcibly giving people injections. And it even includes things such as asking people to remove their clothing when they give the vaccination. And if you don't do that, they can remove your clothing for you. It's all in black and white in the Public Health Act.
So why on earth would people need to remove their clothing to have a vaccination?
There's absolutely no reason. The reason I believe that clause is in there is to intimidate people to think, well, if you don't go and willingly get the vaccination, they'll remove your clothing, and people are just going to freeze up and they'll say, well, give me the vaccination. No, I don't want my clothing removed, forcibly by the police. And it's all there. I mean, people might think you're conspiratorial and that you're exaggerating, but anybody can look up the Public Health Act of 2016. It's in black and white, and the whole Act is there. That's all it's about, mandatory vaccination, intimidating people into getting this vaccination.
So why do you believe it's so important that people aren't mandated to have vaccinations?
Well, for a start, you don't know what's in the vaccination. You don't know how it's going to change people. I mean, any vaccination is going to change people. You don't know to what extent it's going to change people, whether it's going to change RNA or DNA. It's got these sorts of things, and there's no need for a vaccination anyway. The fatality rate of COVID-19 doesn't warrant a vaccination at all, but they're insisting on this, and all of these restrictions we have as far as not being able to turn up to church, sporting events, sing in churches, assemble, go to restaurants, having to provide your name, all of these inconveniences are just to wear people down, and so they think that, well, eventually, if everybody gets a vaccination, we'll be able to get back to life as normal. That's what they want. So all of these restrictions are all about the vaccination, because I can never see the situation where there won't be any COVID-19 at all. And so it'll just keep on going. They're just wearing people out. People are quite energised at the moment, but if this keeps on going on and businesses are going under and this sort of thing, people will get worn out and they might just say, well, I'll get this vaccination, get it done with. So that's what we're concerned about. And the only way to change this legislation is to have people in Parliament and to just run for seats in Parliament, and that's what we want. We need about 1,000 members, and I'm confident that we can get 1,000 members to get that up and going, and we have to get it done very soon. So that's why we're here.
Okay, so is this only about the COVID vaccination, or is it deeper than that?
This is about the COVID vaccination. There are other political parties that have spoken about vaccinations in the past, but I think people in the back of their minds, they know there's something not quite right about this COVID-19. They've just got a sense that something's not right, and people are concerned about the mandatory aspect of it. When Scott Morrison said that he actually said he wanted to make it mandatory. Before he said that, 25% of people were against the mandatory vaccination, 75% of people were in favour of a mandatory vaccination. Then when he announced that it could be mandatory, it switched around to 75% in the polls. 75% said they were against a mandatory vaccination, 25% said they're in favour. So it switched. So they know, they tested the water to see how people would cope with a mandatory vaccination. Didn't do very well, and so we have to push that specific issue. We don't want to cloud the issue, we want to make this mandatory vaccination. That's what we're about, a mandatory vaccination, with all the other things. The punishments that they want to impose on people if they refuse the vaccination, they're just ridiculously extreme. $20,000 fine if you refuse the vaccination. They can destroy your property and you have to pay for the damage of your own property if it gets damaged when they come into your house. And the mandatory vaccination in the Act says that it's going to be administered by local government. I mean, the local government don't even know this. And they're obviously getting a situation where they're going to introduce it, whether the COVID-19 increases or it reaches a situation where people are going to, they think a mandatory vaccination is going to be necessary. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's what we're against. We're just pushing the no mandatory vaccination, and we're not going to any other issues. That's just it. And then we're going to be pushing the Public Health Act of 2016 is what we want to get out there, because this Parliament has passed it. It's not on a conspiracy website. Anybody can read the Public Health Act and see what their elected members of Parliament have imposed on their public. So that's what we'll be doing.
Thank you very much for your time, Cam. That's fantastic.
All right, thanks, Freya.
What's going on here today for you guys?
Basically, I want to maintain our freedom and not lose it. And, the changes that have happened this year in a rapid space of time in Australia are extremely concerning. I've got, small nieces and nephews. I don't want to see them grow up in a world that has been what it has been this year and worse, because it's looking like, we're heading into communism, and that's not what we know. It's not what we want. Also, the politicians, they work for us. They can't rule us. They work for us. We vote them in. The two-party preferred should be ruled out, because we should be nominating for who we want to vote for.
So what are the major issues, aside from the Chinese warships coming in and the sense of communism? What are those main issues for you guys?
The main issue for me is I'm born and bred here. I've grew up in the sand dunes north, and I've seen the demise, the downward spiral of Australia as a whole, especially since 1986 when the Australia Act got brought in. We've got all these laws that have been unlawfully brought in, and in order for any laws to be put in, they need to be passed by the people first, through with referral to the people. We put our hands up whether we agree on it or if it should go in another direction, but it's just been one-sided, dominated by the, hate to use the word, but the psychopathic political level. They've brought all their buddies in, and they're not standing for we the people. I'm from a military family, and I'm staunch about my family fought for this country, and we're really pissed off that the way the country has gone, and it's not looking any better. So hence, today is a precedent for many things to come. We will unite, and we're not going to back down. We will stand strong.
So here we are at the beautiful Kings Park, also the law grounds of the Whadjuk Noongar people. And after the Millions Rise Freedom Day event at Parliament House, what an extraordinary scene. This beautiful city, and so peaceful. My takeaways from today have been that Perth people really know how to get together and get off their chest what they need to express, but do that in a peaceful way and really respect everybody who's at the event, and also the people who are moderating the event for us, including the police and the reporters. Some of the main takeaways would be that people are concerned about the loss of their liberties, their free will being eroded, that there are some deep issues that have been raised regarding suppression orders of pedophilia in royal commissions and other such things that are the very unpleasant things about being human that are being covered up, whether that be for shame or whatever other reason. That when we do those things as people, that we start to create an environment which breeds more of the same. My other takeaways for today are that, as a people, we would like more consultation. The people we spoke to today would like more consultation from our governments, referendums before making laws and before making decisions on the entire continent's behalf without being asked effectively. People are in this for the long haul. This isn't a 1-minute wonder, and any derogatory terms and name calling isn't going to put people off, and that that they are actually very happy that there was an independent media representative there to give, hopefully, more unbiased voice and view over the entire event. So hopefully we've been able to do that for our viewers and for the people at the event. We have experienced an extraordinarily large range of emotions, points of view, topics, and wild out there experiences. Really looking forward to sharing more with you as this making history story unfolds in Australia and around the world. This is Freya Sampson, Deputy Editor of Supernal Magazine, coming to you from Kings Park, Western Australia.